Hello children, a very good morning to all. Once again we are here on the previous track only for some days, 5 to 6 days, due to early summer vacation as we used to do in our corona days. And today I am going to proceed further with your chapter from history, class 12. History chapter number 4, kinship, caste and class. Most of the part of this chapter we have done. Right, caste based we have studied about 4 varnas are there, about Mahabharata also, different stories are there, different incidents that have been taken from Mahabharata that we have studied. And today I am going to tell you about the beyond 4 varnas, what were the conflicts and how it was the subordination of the things. And you know that Brahmical ideas were there. They used to dominate the society. Who can be king, that we have said, they seen that only from that particular Brahmical society king can be there, right? And from their kinships furthermore can be taken. So in this way Brahmical considered some people as outside of the system. I mean to say they are not included in the society, and if they are not included in the society, they are not, we can say, involved in any activity regarding that, and very bad name is given to them, that is untouchable. Untouchables, right? Without untouchables, we have studied in our 10th class also, Gandhiji also gives them the name of Harijan, and when they are to make clean their toilet and their places of living, right, so that they feel familiar with the other section of the society, other 3 varnas, because these were called Shudras. Shudras, they cannot take any advantage of that Brahmical, Brahmans, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras. They were called untouchable. Even they were not given entry to the house. If their entry is there, people used to purify their house. If they have touched any type of utensils, people used to purify those utensils. Such type of things are there. And here I am going to give you one example from your book, that is Manusmriti have told those people they were Chandales. Those people were called Chandales. And they were considered very much inferior. Every time inferiority complexes raised against these people. Their work was defined that they will live in this particular area. They will not take part in ritual ceremonies of the other societies. What is their main work? They are to maintain the corpus and dead bodies. Whenever anybody dies, they will take them there and do all the ceremonies. That is also very inferiority, showing that you are for this purpose only. And Manusmriti laid on one special provision for them, that they will be there when they are going through the streets. They have to make clapping in this way. They have to clap so that nobody can see them. When they are in the street, when they raise this sound of clapping, others may understand that Chandales are there in the street and we are not supposed to go outside in the street. It is somewhat symbolic. Right? So that is also very inferiority, show them that, and Manusmriti laid their duties that they had to live outside the village. They have to use discard utensils and discarded clothes of the other people, and they will wear those clothes when they burn the dead body's corpus, and that those things they will utilize. Otherwise they are not able to create their own and not purchase their own and not use anything by their own. So in this way they could not walk throughout the cities, village, anywhere. and whenever they have to walk, they have to, like I told you, so whenever they have to, and one more Chinese monk is there, Fa Xian, in 5th century wrote that these untouchable had to use a clapper in the streets, right? Manusmriti told about their cloth and that, and untouchable. One more Chinese pilgrim is there, that is Yuan Exon Zhang. During 17th century, not 17th, 7th, only 7th century, he observed that these executioner and sectarians were forced to live outside the city, and in this, by these non-Brahmical ideas which depicts the life of these Chandals, whether they are Chandals accepted the life of degradation prescribed in the Shastras, sometimes these depiction corresponding with in the Brahmical text, but occasionally there are hints of different social realities. And there is one example given on your book, page number 67, the Buddhist Shastra and Chandal, right? इसमें एक स्टोरी है मदर की, और उसके जो एक लड़की होती है, फिर वो मदर बनती है, बच्चा है मतंगा, his son, and that story you have to read from your side. I will not teach you that story. That is your homework for today. So in this way, children, beyond the birth, resource and status, that was also very, very important issue during that time, gender assessment. Property. And you know that gender-based assessment property means to say males and females. Males and females. Okay, males are the owner of their property, and female means to say girl child is not owner of the property of their parents. That is also found out that during that time period, 600 BC period, we are talking about BC to 600 CE period. During that period also, this system was prevailing. This system was prevailing over there. Right? Kaurva, Pandava, Mahabharata, जो भी हमने पीछे स्टोरी पढ़ी थी, all he has lost, and in the end he has to give his wife there, no? So that also shows some inferiority complex for the women. Inferiority complex for the women. He can use his wife as a materialistic things. Materialistic things, right? So that issue also there. Manusmriti, parental estates to be divided equally among the sons after the death of the parents. Manusmriti also favored this idea that elder son or other sons that can be divided among property of the parent can be divided among those people. Nowhere there is a mention the female child, the girl child, the girl her successor for that. So in this way, Manusmriti warned the women against holding family property or even their own valuables without the permission of their husband. But in your second chapter, you may have read the name of one woman, Prabhavati. Prabhavati, he was one of the richest women, Prabhavati Gupta from Gupta dynasty. Prabhavati Gupta from Gupta dynasty. She was the one of the richest women, right? And evidences both epigraphic and textual suggest us that she had a lot of valuable things with her, and land, resource, cattle, money. They were generally controlled by men during that time, but that Prabhavati Gupta lady having that. So it is estimated by the archaeologists during that time period that women from rich dynasties, rich houses, or rich fathers this privilege may have this right to property in father's property. So that is also one guess from there, from the archaeologist, from the text, and from some evidences, and some from epigraphics. Okay students, thank you, bye, take care.